Okay, so when we talk about the Jeffrey Epstein saga, we're usually talking about immense power and, let's face it, absolutely horrific crimes. But this latest drop of documents, it peels back a layer to show us something else, a world that wasn't just sinister, it was also just deeply, deeply weird. So, let's get into it.
Right. So whenever new Epstein files come out, everyone's waiting for these huge, earth-shattering bombshells, right? But what if the biggest reveal this time wasn't some new crime, but just a whole new level of absurdity? For this explainer, we're going to look at two main things from the source material: the truly bizarre world Epstein created around himself, and, maybe more importantly, why the powerful people in his orbit just never seem to face any consequences.
So let's start with what was actually in this latest document drop. House Democrats released a whole bunch of stuff, over 150 new photos and videos from inside Epstein's notorious Caribbean island. And it gives us this look inside that's, well, it's pretty unsettling, to be honest.
But, okay, let's get one thing straight right off the bat. The source material is pretty clear on this. This release didn't name some new, secret co-conspirator. There wasn't a smoking gun, legally speaking. What it did do was shine a giant, awkward spotlight on the grotesque absurdity of Epstein's world, something that was kind of hiding there in plain sight the whole time. I mean, you'd think a place tied to so much wealth and so many dark secrets would look, I don't know, slick, evil, but expensive. But the photos showed something else entirely. It led our source to ask the perfect question: how does a billionaire's private island look like a 2-star Airbnb? And look, that's not just a funny line about bad taste. It really gets to the heart of how bizarre this whole thing was.
And believe me, it gets even weirder from here. Let's actually take a little tour of this island based on these new photos. We're going to start with some of the, interesting design choices.
Okay, so check this out. The photos show this room that looks like it's supposed to be a library, but the whole layout is just off. You've got these 4 massive armchairs crammed so close together they're almost touching, all facing each other. And then on the wall, among all the other pictures, there it is, a framed photo of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell with Pope John Paul II. Yeah.
Our source just nailed the vibe of this room with a perfect sarcastic invitation. Come to my library. We can smoke cigars and rub knees together. It sounds funny, but it really highlights how every single detail on that island, even the furniture, was just designed to be unsettling and gross.
And then there's this, a chalkboard. And it seriously looks like a brainstorming session for a Saturday morning cartoon supervillain. You've got words like power, deception, plots, and then, just thrown in there for no reason at all, you have music. What?
All right, but maybe the strangest thing they found: a dentist chair. Now, I know what you're thinking. Your mind immediately goes to some really dark, creepy place. But the reality apparently was that one of Epstein's girlfriends was studying to be a dentist. And as the source points out, the idea of someone getting a root canal on that island is somehow even more disturbing. Of course, it wasn't all just about tacky furniture and weird chalkboards. These files also dropped a lot of names, a long list of powerful men. And our source really zeroes in on the strange, specific details of their connections to Epstein.
So yeah, a lot of very famous, very powerful names came up in these documents. But we're going to focus on 2 examples that the source material highlighted, mainly because of the bizarre details and the, well, let's just say questionable explanations that came with them. First up, Elon Musk. The source points to these newly released emails. In one, he's messaging Epstein on Christmas Day, of all days, asking where the parties are. In another email, Epstein invites Musk to meet some interesting people during the UN General Assembly, adding that they were, quote, all very cute and no one over 25.
So how did Musk respond? He denied any wrongdoing with this memorable statement. The source points out that this is, not exactly a strong moral defense. He's basically saying, hey, I don't need a creepy loser like Epstein to help me party with young women. I'm perfectly capable of doing that myself. It is just a wild way to proclaim your innocence.
Okay, next up, Howard Lutnick, who was nominated to be Commerce Secretary. The source pulls up this clip of him talking about how disgusted he was by Epstein. But then it drops this little detail. Their homes in New York, they were literally 6 steps apart. 6.
And here's where it gets tricky. Lutnick's whole story is that he completely cut off contact with Epstein after a strange run-in back in 2005. But these new documents? They show he tried to meet or call Epstein multiple times after that date. So the story doesn't quite line up.
So, okay, we've gone through the tacky decor,
The weird emails, the powerful names, and after all that, the source pivots to what is really the most important question in all of this. What about accountability? I mean, think about it. After all of these documents, all these photos, all these big-shot names getting dragged through the mud again, what actually happens? What are the real legal consequences? Well, the answer from the Department of Justice is pretty blunt. According to the official assessment our source reported on, there's absolutely nothing in this new batch of files that can lead to any new prosecutions. Nothing.
And our source really drives this point home. Look at the accountability check. Prince Andrew, he got stripped of his royal titles, which, is a public shaming, but it's not a legal punishment. And for all the other powerful American men mentioned, the result has been basically zero. No legal repercussions at all.
This total lack of consequences is what leads to the source's main argument. It takes that political term, sanctuary city, and flips it. It uses it to describe this sort of metaphorical place, a place where if you have enough wealth and power, you're just shielded from the law. You're protected from any real consequences for your actions.
And this is the final thought from the source that just hits so hard. It really contrasts all the political talk we hear about law and order with the reality for the super rich and powerful. It really makes you stop and ask a pretty tough question. When it comes to America, who is accountability actually for?